Well, welcome guys, thanks for checking out this video. I'm Jay from rightsprite.co.uk and you guys are here to find out how to set up your PlayStation 2 console to your HD TV using a HDMI adapter. So there are quite a fair bit of these adapters out there, so I had the divine pleasure of actually picking some of these up on a nice budget so you can find out what is the best HDMI adapter you can set up. Now you may just be thinking, I might as well just get a PlayStation 3 60GB model that is backwards compatible to play PS2 games, and that's perfectly fine. I do actually own one of them myself, but the actual reliability of that console actually lasting long is another story, and to actually find one these days is quite hard, and the price are going up on those consoles. So I've got a selection of adapters that are quite available, especially in the UK and Europe, and I've done a fair bit of reviews on some of these already, but here I'm going to do a compare and comparison with each of these with side by side. So hopefully by the end of this video you may be thinking, I know what one to get now for your PlayStation 2. So as always, as a YouTuber that's still starting off, if you'd just like to hit that like button and subscribe and you want to support this type of content, that'd be absolutely awesome. But one thing I do want to stress for you guys in this video, I don't want to actually be quite biased, because you guys may already know if you subscribed or see my other content that these are available at the Right Sprite web store, the levelhike HDMI. Another solution to try and get HDMI is the Ossc. I have done a full review on that product, I'll also include that in the link below, but because that is a bit pushing the budget a bit, I didn't include this in the video. Now this is a bit of a quick review of each item, I don't want to take too much of your time, so this is a bit of a rapid review, so grab yourself a cuppa or even a coffee if you're from whatever area you're from, and let's get into this. First thing I do want to show you guys is this quite popular, which is kind of annoying, the Ps2 Hdmi Adapter. You may already see these on Amazon and even also at the local CEX that you see. They do fetch about 15 quid. Now when it comes to these type of style of adapters, there's quite a lot of these about, and they do vary in quality, but mostly even worse. So you may have seen these about. The actual build quality isn't that great, it's a bit rattly, a little bit rattly, and it's just very thin type of plastic, but it does do the job, and it comes with a micro actual USB to actually give it some power. Comes with some instructions, which is pretty nice, but it is quite flimsy. As you can see, it just literally crumbled off. That you can't just glue it straight back on, and you can see all the gibbons inside, and it is pretty simple to put back together. But that's one thing about these, the build quality isn't great. Now let's head into some direct capture footage. I went with the game, actually one of my personal favourites, Grandia 3. No HD or remaster of this release. Still, why? Baffles me. This adapter is a direct analog to digital signal converter with its original kept resolution of 480i. No upscaling, just a direct pass-through. First thing you will notice is the screen ratio. It is slightly stretched, creating a slight distortion to the image, but the RGB signal is pretty fine. There are worse ones out there. You will notice black bars on the side on the top of the screen, but that has actually nothing to do with the cable or the adapter itself, only with the Ps2 output, as it does output a scan filter that you will actually not notice on the old CRT TVs or the plasma screens. But on the HD TV, they do actually take that in account for, and that's how you will notice it on basically any adapter. As I am on about the output of the PlayStation 2, in that generation of console, even though it was the best selling and still one of the most sold consoles of all time, the video output on that unit has to be one of the worst, and it's quite hard to work with when comparing it to the Dreamcast, GameCube, or even the original Xbox. One nice feature about this adapter is that it does accept the CYRB signal, so when enabling that on the PlayStation 2 console under the settings, you can then enable that higher resolution mode of 480p. It is very limited to compatible games, but if you're like me or a lot of other people and have a modded console, you can actually force a further limited number of games to push out the 480p. So now you will see the picture actually having a bit of a smoother quality with the higher resolution set to the progressive mode, and also the aspect ratio seems to be fixed now using the adapter and using this mode. But when it comes to progressive on different PS2 games, you do get different better results, and this one does look pretty nice, but we can definitely get better results. And one thing this adapter does like to apply is some bad noise effects, so you won't be able to really see this in this video, but on my big screen you definitely notice it more, and especially as a black background and you see the actual noise effects going on there. Now with this adapter I did come across pretty major problems, and that is when I plug this into my HDMI splitter, but I've had no problems at all plugging any other console or any adapter. It seems to distort the image really bad, so it's pretty useless hooking it up to that. But one thing I wanted to test out as well, as I recently purchased the M Classic. This is a bit of a more pricey adapter, but I thought to show this off a bit as this is a new toy for me and I will be covering further content for near future. So there it is, all set up and ready to go, straight plugged into the TV, and as you can see, again, the image is completely distorted, making it unplayable. So let's move on to our next adapter, which is the levelhike HD for the PS1 and the PS2. So I have actually covered this quite a bit, so that'll be in the description box below, because I have actually set my system settings to that CYPB. I have to go back now before plugging this adapter in, go to my system's configuration and track down the component video out settings back to RGB, and there we go. Now with the levelhike you can see the actual RGB signal is very clear and the colours are pretty decent, especially for the PS2. It's a bit like night and day when you compare it to that cheap adapter. But this is actually doubling the price to around about 30 quid, but what you get for your money's worth is pretty awesome. The aspect ratio now is fixed now to 4:3 the way it should do, and also the levelhike adapter provides a 16:9 switch. So the game is actually only developed in 4:3 in mind. You can actually stretch it to 16:9 to fill your screen if you wish to do so. So it has a well balanced white and black levels, the colours are not too strong and they're not too weak, it's just well balanced RGB signal pass through, and also it does actually upscale the image to 720p, so you probably think this is a bit sharper and a bit clearer just because it actually has a built-in 720p upscaler, and that does really help if your TV struggles with 480i signals. So now if you've got any new TVs, it will be compatible with this adapter. Now let's start the side-by-side comparison. The levelhike on the right and that cheap £15 adapter that you see Ps2 Hdmi everywhere is on the left. I think the video really speaks for itself. So now again, let's bump in that M Classic adapter. So now you will see the image upscaled to 1080p and actually fills the screen pretty nicely. Again, this game is in 4:3 ratio. So it does add that anti-aliasing, but my capture device is only capturing up to 1080p, but the M Classic does go up to 1440p. I've had this adapter for over a year now and it's served me really well, and it's built pretty nice. It's not the best of plastics, but it does seem to have a solid build and is something that will definitely last me another few years. Now let's head over to our next cable, and that is the hdTV cable for the PS2 and PS1. These are quite readily available on Amazon and AliExpress, so they did actually fetch around for about £25, and it does state on the back here that it's compatible with the PS1 and the PS2, much like the levelhike. So I'm expecting kind of the same results and basically the same job as that, but I've never actually set this up, and it does provide a micro USB, so again you have to give it some juice to get that power, and everything is built in. Unlike the levelhike, you can actually put adapters on it like the M Classic, but this is an all built-in solution. It does have some cooling vents on the side, which is pretty nice in case anything heats up if you've got it powered on too long, and obviously the HDMI cable is plugged in. The length is pretty decent, I would say, so even if you had to plug in HDMI, you won't have to really upgrade to getting a longer cable. And now we've got some captured footage. Again, this is only accepting the RGB out, so no CYPB or progressive mode available with this adapter again. Now as you can see, it does seem a bit washed out. I would say the RGB conversion is not as good as the levelhike, but it still does a really decent job. A lot of people may be happy with this. The colours are a bit brighter, but I did find on my TV it does actually blur across to other colours, so that's probably why it's got a little bit more of a smudged texture on it. But a lot of people do like more colours, but preferably myself, I do like a well balanced RGB signal. So again, this is actually upscaling it to 720p, so this will be compatible with newer 4K TVs straight out of the box. So that's something that is really nice and handy. With the actual sound quality, I did notice a bit of a difference. It does seem to boost it up slightly, but it doesn't really crack or anything like that. And then this is what it looks like set up with that 16:9 switch, something I forgot to do with the levelhike video. but here it is, so it's filling up the entire screen. But again, you are getting those bars on the top and the left and the right hand side because of how the PS2 actually handles the games and its signal in the first place. So now let's head into a comparison with my more favourable cable, the levelhike, and this now Ps2 HD TV cable adapter. So you definitely can see the difference with the colours and the clarity with the RGB pushing, but again, you do get a bit better quality because of the budget with the levelhike. But I'll just let the video do its talking. And something I did have to actually add to this review when actually doing this video, when I picked up this cable adapter, the actual casing just actually clipped off with actually no much force applied to it. You can actually see inside, and it does come with a heatsink, which is pretty nice, but the build quality again isn't that great. Not as bad as that cheap £15 one, but again the build quality is not good. So now let's head to another form of solution to try and get this on your HD TVs. A lot of them still have component cables. Now you can actually pick up a Ps3 component cable, a official one, if they're about. They are quite pricey, but you can also pick up these cheap ones for about £5. I do avoid them because the build is not that great and there's not much shielding. So I tried to fetch one for about £15, and this is what actually shoots at that budget. It is pretty well built and the design is pretty nice, so I can see this lasting for me for quite a while. So I do recommend just actually purchasing a little bit more to get a decent cable. Now the one cable I really wanted to try and get was a HD retro vision cable. They are actually pushing around about £40 each. They are built very well and they are very recommended for a component output, and also they do push out a 240p signal, so in case your TV cannot handle the 240p signal, they do actually work really well. But in this video we are after HDMI out. So there are these converter boxes that are out there. One of I actually been seen that's been quite recommended is this Porta HDMI, but I scrapped that because the actual noise from that signal was pretty bad. So I picked up another generic one which was around about £15, 15 to 20 quid. So this is a component to HDMI signal output, and there's no upscaling this. So basically whatever signal's coming in through this, there's no messing about in this box, and you just get a HDMI out. And there's also a headphone jack unless you want to use that. So there's all your component inputs, as well as a coaxial actual audio input as well if you wanted to use that. There's some grills at the bottom there, so then it can actually cool it down. Not really sure if this is actually beneficial because it's lying flat, but this is actually reaching the budget quite nicely with a £15 cable and then around about a £20 actual component to HDMI adapter. And there's the power, so it is actually USB powered. I found this out a little bit later after getting this all sorted with the packaging. Oh, and here's just one quick example if you're using a cheap actual component cable with this. I did cheap out with a £3 to £5 one, and you can see the colours are washed out and it does seem a bit grey overall. So this is just why you should just fork out for a little bit better quality component cable. So here we are with the captured results. So this just basically passing through a 480 interlace RGB signal. Now when it comes to component boxes, the more pricier that you pick them up, the better the analog to digital signal conversion there is. But this is just suiting the budget pretty nicely, and the results do assemble much like the actual levelhike HDMI as well, which is something I was pretty after, with the versatility of using the CYPB to get that 480 progressive mode out. But this is what it's like in the RGB mode. As you can see, the colors are pretty balanced really well. They're not too strong, and the white and blacks are pretty fine. Again, of course, you get in those bars at the tops again. And now let's bump in that M Classic adapter with this game forced to 480p, and now it's polishing up pretty nice. But if you want an all-in-one solution, I do recommend the levelhike. But this is a pretty nice way to finally play my PlayStation 2 games with a bit of versatility, having 480p progressive mode now enabled. So again, let's head to a side-by-side comparison. Levelhike HDMI on the right, and then the component HDMI on the left. So you can already see the actual image quality is a little bit better using the actual component to HDMI adapter, but there's again a lot more setting up and a little bit more expensive to get these results. And another thing to mention, is it actually worth it, the actual hassle to try and get these games to progressive? Well, those little handful of games do polish it pretty nicely in that mode, but a lot of the games were planned just for the 480 interlaced signal, and that is one of the downfalls about the actual PlayStation 2 console, is that you can't actually play these games in 480p unless doing the workaround. And the numbers that are compatible with 480p are quite low. Now, if you'd like to try and fill your entire screen of the game information, there are ways around to try and get forced widescreen on some of these games. So I've got this actual game hacked to widescreen mode, and then with the actual settings on my TV, you can actually change the aspect ratio to fill the entire screen. And that is probably the only way you can actually do this if you're lucky enough to have a TV that gives you these enabled settings. So here is a direct capture now of the game hacked to actual 16:9 and also forced into 480p with the M Classic, upscaling it but only capturing it to 1080p. So I do hope now that you've got a better understanding of how to get a better image of your PlayStation 2 games. And when it comes to actually forcing these games to widescreen mode, I don't kind of really recommend to do so because the games won't build, but with actual Grandeur 3, this game force seems to be working fine, but they add pop-ups on the side, and also the menu interface does mess up a bit because it just wasn't designed that way. So here we have the last one to test for you guys, and that is the Kaico. Just fine, came in the post from the UK. Very quick service. Let's give this an open. There we go. I do like the packaging and design. So, same type of thing again. Let's have a good look. Okay. That's the paperwork. So we get some nice manual, and it gives you the instructions again that this will only accept the RGB, but also accepts the YCB-PB signal with that switch. So this is what's really interesting with this one. Very well designed. And here we have the adapter itself. Let's get everything out here. Let's see what else we get. So it comes again with a nice HDMI cable, all packaged and labeled. And then there's the micro power again. So you need to power this up, much like the levelhike as well. So one thing I really like about the kaico cables, they are built to better quality, but still a bit flimsy, but definitely better quality than a lot of the other budget ones. Let's get this focused. So simple design, bam into the PS2 and HDMI out. And there is our YCB and our RGB switch. Something I'm pretty looking forward to test out and show you guys now. So finally, with this adapter, it does give the option now to actually get that 480p mode. So this is really nice, and it's all-in-one actual adapter. But one thing it doesn't actually give you is a 16:9 switch or 4:3. Now once I actually did set this up and just plug it all into the back of the PlayStation, I noticed when I plugged into the micro USB power, the actual top part is poked out. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'll try and focus now with the camera, but if I push that side down, the other side comes out. So it's like when you put the power in, it pushes the other side out. So the build quality is not that great, but you can always put it back together pretty easily. But it is definitely a concern. And here we have it. So the main thing you actually see straight away is that the bars on the left hand side and right side is pretty big when you actually got the CYPB mode. I think that's how you call the actual mode, but the not RGB mode to get the progressive one. So this is what is kind of really letting this adapter down, and that's what something I kind of really wanted, was an adapter to have an all-in-one solution with the non-lack of the 16:9 mode, and this kind of weird ratio that is doing with any progressive games is not the best. The quality is almost the same as the levelhike with the colors. It probably pushes out a bit more, but the actual RGB signal is pretty weak with this adapter, something that I didn't think that would happen. So one of the ways I wanted to show you guys is probably just looking at the memory card actual menu of this game with the colors. This is the RGB mode, and you can see the actual colors are not that vibrant, and the image is not really as strong as any other adapter that I've been testing out. So we have a good closer look. The actual bars on the side are still kind of tinted slightly green, and the image is just really not that clear. It is clear enough for a lot of people, and a lot of people may be happy with this, but there are other better adapters. So if you compare this now with the levelhike, you may even notice it a bit better.
So then the bars on the right and the top are more black now, and you can see a bit more of a smoother, clearer image. Nothing too strong, nothing too harsh, but there's definitely a little bit more of improvement. So just a little quick review on these adapters. Again, I'll put more of a review in the description box below, but hopefully now you guys got a better understanding of what cable adapters are out there. This, of course, I won't be able to capture every adapter out there. This is just ones that are easily accessible from the UK and Europe. Another thing to consider when trying to get a better image from your games is not just the cable or even the adapter itself, it's the games as well. So for instance, this title here, Thunder Force, I can't remember which one, but this was designed very well for a good widescreen mode and also a progressive mode, so this polishes up really nicely when you've got the right setup.
Who did it out of the ball?
So I'm going to leave this video running now with some capture footage of this game. I do hope that you enjoy, and as always, thanks for watching. If you liked it, hit that button. If you want to support this channel and this type of content, then hit that subscribe button. Leave your comments below and I'll catch you lot on the next video.